What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to, I guess, part 2 of what is now my Bojack Horseman series. If you haven't yet seen, I did a video on Season 1 of Bojack Horseman. I will link that right up above. Go and check it out. It was a ton of fun. Thank you for the overflow of support on that video, and my most recent video on Society of the Snow, which I will also link right up above. Please go and check that out as well. All of these will also be linked at the end of this video, maybe down in the description, but mainly at the end of the video. Last I checked, my Society of the Snow video is sitting at about 2.3 thousand views. That is not the most views I've ever gotten. My video actually currently that's sitting with the most views is my review for Lost Season 1, which I did like 2 years ago at this point, 2 or 3 years ago at this point. It's sitting at like nearly 5,000 views. I have no idea why, but the Society of the Snow video is easily my most successful video in regards to how quickly it has amassed popularity and that many views. I posted it like a week ago at this point, and it's sitting at about 2.3 thousand views last time I checked. And all the love in the comment section, I really do greatly appreciate it. So if you're one of the people who watched that video, because I also gained a good bit of subscribers from it, if you're one of the subscribers that I gained from that video and you left one of those amazing comments and you're watching this, I just want to thank you. It means the world to me. I've expressed many times throughout my career in this YouTube space that I hesitate to call it a career because I've been doing it for 5 years. Still haven't been able to get monetized, but basically what I'm saying is I've expressed so many times in my years of doing this that I love doing this and I would love to build more with it, and you guys are just helping me do that day by day, step by step, so I greatly appreciate that. Anyway, towards the end of my previous Bojack Horseman video, in which I only talked about Season 1, I said that I didn't know if I was just going to binge the rest of the show and then do one video where I talked about the final, or I guess the next 5 seasons, or if I wanted to do individual videos for each season. And I got some feedback from you guys, and it seems like you guys would prefer for me to do an individual video for each season. So that's what I'm gonna do, which is why in this video we are going to be talking about Season 2 of Bojack Horseman, which I am so excited to talk about, because look, if you watched that first video, you know that I loved Season 1. I legitimately loved Season 1 of Bojack Horseman. I thought it was great, and one of the things that I talked about was how surprised I was that it seems like most people unanimously agree that Season 1, while good, is the worst season of the show. And I was like, I mean, that's setting the bar pretty high for these next few seasons. I was honestly kind of worried. I was like, I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna go into Season 2 with sky-high expectations and be let down. But I am so fucking happy to tell you guys that Season 2 of Bojack Horseman is leaps and bounds better than Season 1 in ways that I didn't even know it could be, because I legitimately thought Season 1 was pretty much flawless. I mean, aside from a couple criticisms, like a couple big criticisms with it, I didn't really have like any major flaws with the show as a whole. Season 2 exceeded my expectations in about every possible way. This season was incredible. So if you watched the first video, you know that I didn't give any spoilers for Season 1. I was just sort of sitting there talking about the show. That is also what this video is going to be like as well. However, in order to talk about some of the things I loved about Season 2, I do have to get into some spoilers for Season 1, so there's your warning. There will be no spoilers for Season 2 in this video, but I, like I said, might have to talk about some stuff with Season 1. So here we go. So at the end of Season 1, it was revealed that the memoir that Diane was ghostwriting for Bojack wasn't actually written from Bojack's perspective at all. It turns out it was actually Diane writing about her experiences with Bojack Horseman and writing about her personal take on his journey and all of that stuff. And obviously this was extremely controversial in the world of the show. Bojack understandably was not pleased with this at all, but it did fall through and everyone loved it. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And Bojack has sort of like a much more positive reception in the public eye now, even though, you know, his career is still kind of down the toilet. But that's what Season 2 is exploring, because in Season 2, Bojack gets the opportunity to play Secretariat, who is, okay, so how do I explain this? So basically, when Bojack was a child in his abusive and neglectful household, he didn't have much stuff to latch onto in regards to hope. However, there was this legendary racer named Secretariat that Bojack always looked up to and saw as his personal hero. And so in Season 2, Bojack, now all grown up, his career has gone down the toilet, he's looking for like a creative lifeline of sorts. He auditions to play Secretariat, and he gets the role. He gets the part, and he gets to play his childhood hero, which is really cool writing-wise. So where season 1 was sort of following the ghostwriting journey of him trying to write his memoir, season 2 is following his journey of playing this character, trying to balance that with his personal life, trying to get back into the Hollywood scene, as well as further hitting home the rivalry between him and Mr. Peanut Butter, because Mr. Peanut Butter is also kind of rising up from the ashes in this season as well, and it's a very, very smart and clever way to put these two characters at odds with each other. It is the most passive-aggressive friendship, and I say friendship like that because, like, narratively speaking, they are complete rivals, like mortal enemies, but it's sort of one of those things where, like, they don't really communicate that to each other. They're just sort of very, like, passive-aggressive with each other, like, congratulations on your movie, let's hope it lasts, you know, like, and it's just like, oh, yeah, thank you, congratulations on your talk show. I mean, you know, I feel like there's, like, a million other talk shows exactly like it, but, you know, it's fine, like, you're doing your thing, and you're loving it, and it's just like, burn in hell. It's very comedically intact, which brings me to another thing that I think this season does much better than the first season, and I already thought the first season did this extremely well. The comedy in season 2, I'm pretty confident in saying 100% of these jokes landed. They really did not pull any punches here. And again, I still have, 4 seasons left of the show to watch, and people keep telling me that it just gets better and better and better. I don't know how you beat this, man, but I already said that about the first season, and then I watched season 2 and it blew me the fuck away. So what do I know? They really double down on the dark and crude humor in this season, and here's the thing, it's not just dark humor for the sake of dark humor. They are genuinely clever jokes, and they all hit home for me. One of the things I said about season 1 is that it seemed like the show was struggling with an identity crisis, like it didn't know if it wanted to be a certain kind of comedy or another kind of comedy. It definitely seems to find its footing much more so in this season. I think they, by this point in the show, I think they have truly found where the sweet spot is with these writers in regards to the comedy that they write best, as well as the drama elements of the show. I got a really funny comment on my first Bojack Horseman video, and the person quoted me because in that video I said, "Don't misconstrue my words, this show is first and foremost a comedy." And then this person commented, "First and foremost a comedy? Yeah, that's gonna change." And change it did. Don't get me wrong, the show is still a comedy genre speaking, but it is just as much a drama, and that's really hit home in season 2. Season 1 had a very emotional ending to it, and I feel that it was very much hinting at the dramatic heights that the future episodes and the future seasons of the show is going to reach. Season 2 truly fulfills that potential that was set up by that season 1 finale. It got to a point where I wasn't just invested in the show because it was so entertaining and there were little bits and pieces of good drama and character development. It's gotten to the point where I am like taking this show as seriously as I take like full on like HBO drama shows or AMC type shit, like Euphoria and The Walking Dead, like really hardcore, like serious dramas. I never thought I'd be looking at Bojack Horseman through that kind of a lens, but I am, and somehow it does not conflict with the fact that the show is also a comedy. It balances both of these genres so well throughout this season in particular. See, at the start of this season, and once again, I'm not going to spoil anything of where this goes, but at the start of this season, Bojack is in a much better place than he was throughout the majority of the first season. Obviously, he's still struggling with a bunch of things, trying to come to terms with some stuff from his past and present, but him getting this role and feeling that inspiration because he's pulling his career out of the sewers basically and becoming more well regarded in the public eye, that is giving him the motivation to do better, to take better care of himself. He has to train for this role because Secretariat obviously was a professional racer, very athletic, very in shape person. So we follow Bojack on his journey of self-improvement and self-discovery, and it's really nice to watch because from season 1 we care about Bojack so much and we understand the situation, but he just keeps on making mistake after mistake after mistake, just falling back into old habits, and you're just like, no man, we love you, we know your potential because we've seen how you were back in the day, we know you can do this, we know you can do this, there is still a human in there, or I guess technically a horse, you still have some humanity left in you, and we know you can do it, but you just keep on messing up. This second season is almost entirely about him finally taking action and trying to pull himself out of the drain. Something the first season didn't really do much of when it came to the comedy and the structure of it all was running gags. It seemed like every joke in the first season was just an isolated joke that didn't have many callbacks. I know they did it a couple times. I think the muffins thing is probably the most iconic example of that from the first season. Second season really doubles down on that. There are tons of running gags that start in episode 1 and go all the way until the end of the season, and for all I know, continue into the rest of the show yet. I don't know. I've only watched episode 1 of season 3 at the moment. Particularly a running gag involving Princess Carolyn and this person. Again, not going to give anything away, but this person or persons that she meets and strikes up a little thing with, and it was very cleverly written in my opinion. Now, it could have been fucking stupid. Like, I was sitting there like, are you kidding me? They're actually going to do this? Okay, whatever. And then they started doing it, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty funny. Like, it's one of those things where, like, if you didn't have the right writers, it would have been an absolute disaster, but they nailed it. We get a lot more peeks behind the curtain when it comes to Bojack and his past here. I mean, obviously, it was established in season 1. He has some childhood trauma, some things that he's never really gotten to cope with properly, and it's sort of eating away at him, coming back at him in this midlife crisis that he's stuck smack dab in the middle of. But we get even more of that in season 2, and I truly, truly adore it. It is so well written. My biggest compliment that I can give the way the drama is written in this season, though, is how much they raised the stakes. There are some big, and I mean big, decisions made in this season by some of the characters, and it's just like, oh my god, the writers went there. Holy shit, you actually did that. You did that. And one of the reasons why I think it's so brave is that, obviously, like, Bojack is the character we're rooting for. One of the characters we're rooting for. We're rooting for a lot of them. Bojack is obviously, like, the main character we're rooting for, though. And there's decisions that, like, there's places that the writer takes his character in this season where it's like, oh, was he actually going to go through with that? Because if he was, that's kind of... that's troubling. Not gonna give too much away, but let's just liken it to, you know how in Twilight, Bella is 17 years old, and Edward is like 120 something years old? Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. That being said, it made for great television. It was genuinely, like, in the first season, I just really enjoyed it. I didn't really have any visceral reactions, though. This season's writing, the comedy and the drama and the places that it goes, full on, I'm alone in this apartment. I don't live with anybody, okay? I was just watching this by myself. It fully had me having the most visceral reactions. Like, literally, I was, like, there were so many moments where I was like, oh my god, no! Like, what do you do? What? No, they're gonna find out, and then you're gonna find out that they found out, and then you guys are gonna have to confront each other about it, or maybe you're not gonna confront each other about it, but if you do confront each other about it, it's gonna be an absolute hellfire, a shitstorm, a disaster. What's gonna know? You're ruining everything! You know, I really do have to recognize sometimes when I'm filming these videos that I do have neighbors, and, I think I just felt a blood vessel pop. It is literally almost like Euphoria levels of drama. Maybe I'm kind of overselling it, but I don't know. That was just my experience while I was watching it. I also want to call attention to the animation in this season because I think it's significantly improved over the last season, whose animation I already thought was pretty great. It just seems more polished in this season and in the best way, and there's also some animation techniques that were nowhere to be found in the first season that they use here. And they don't really incorporate, I mean, I know the show is probably like, it's animated obviously, but if we're talking about like 3D animation, there's a scene in this show where you would think they would use like a full-on 3D animate and it would look 3D animated, like super smooth moving and everything, but no, like the opening of this season, I think it's the opening if I remember correctly, it's a tracking shot that follows like a bunch of different people like through a hallway and everything like that. I don't know if it was episode 1, it might have been one of the other episodes. The point is it lasts for a while and it is extremely well done. I also think the writing of the satire in this season is leaps and bounds better than the first season. Like the first season it was like, okay, like okay, like, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but it didn't really feel like they were making too much of a point. They were just sort of hitting some talking points. In this season, it's very tightly written satire. It's like they make the case, they make the point, they back it up, all subliminally, of course, or I guess maybe not fully subliminally, obviously, since it's kind of the point of the show, but it's just very intact is what I'm saying. And even the more obvious humor that this season includes is also done better. It just is. I don't know. I don't know how they did it. I just noticed that it was just done. I found it funny this time, whereas last time I didn't find the more obvious basic jokes that they made that funny. Most surprising thing is that this season got me to shed tears on multiple occasions. You just don't expect that kind of a reaction from a show that looks like what Bojack Horseman looks like. I'm sorry, you just don't. It's not really something that's on the track record of a lot of adult animated shows. Which, yes, is obviously why the show is so beloved and stands out from the bunch, but again, this is my first time experiencing the show all the way through, and I have to bring that up, because that's just the experience of the show, and I've never experienced it before. I really think that the writers and the entire creative team behind this really nailed it this time around. I'm pretty sure this is the first season of the show to have a 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. And honestly, guys, I'm gonna say the same thing I did about the first season. I have no idea how they're going to top this. I really don't. Like, even with the first season, I had a couple criticisms and nitpicks that I threw out. With this season, no. Like, literally, I can't think. I am racking my brain. I was sitting down for like an hour or two before this, going back over a recap of the season, just making sure I had everything in my head, and I was just sitting there thinking, do I not have any problems with this season? That like never I don't have anything? Yeah, no, I don't have anything, guys. I think season 2 was absolutely phenomenal, but from what I've heard from the feedback on my last video, it's season 1 and season 2, like that's nothing compared to everything else. So I am totally here for it. It surpassed my expectations this time, so I'm looking forward to it surpassing my expectations in season 3, which I'm going to continue watching probably as soon as I'm done filming this video, which I think is going to go ahead and be right now. I think I've pretty much said everything generally that I want to say about the season. I think it's a fantastic season of the show. Season 1 really got me invested in the show. This season just fully made me fall in love with the show. There's also some really nice changes of scenery in here, and just genuinely very well written drama. And I think people sometimes don't pay enough attention to like how hard it is to write well written drama, because it's not just about, you know, writing good dialogue that's really emotional in the moment or something. It's like a whole overarching thing, things that have to click. There can be just as many plot holes in a drama as there are in an action movie. All those character dynamics have to work. Your characters have to have consistency in how they behave around different types of people. That is a whole like red threaded bulletin board that a rogue detective puts together, because, you know, he's a rogue detective. You know what I mean though, like when you're sitting down and you're trying to make sure everything's right, you feel like one of those rogue detectives who was kicked from the case, sitting alone in your apartment, just like pinning the red threads to all the pieces because everything needs to connect. It is a very challenging experience. I have done it twice, and oh my god, I do not wish the struggle of it on anyone. I did it with a short film, and I did it with a one-act original play that I got to put together and direct and cast and everything. It was an incredible experience, for the most part. But like that's what it's like just making sure everything makes sense, making sure that the characters stay consistent, and you're not just, you know, making them say things for the sake of the tension of the moment. Like, they can never feel out of character. That's really hard to do, especially with an episodic television show, where you don't just have, you know, one 20 to 40 minute interval to get everything right. You have an entire season, an entire 6-season show to make sure everything is pitch perfect. I think that this season is a testament to that. Anyway, guys, I really love season 2 of Bojack Horseman. I'm so excited to see where the show goes from here. If you haven't yet watched my episode on the first season, please go and check that out, and go ahead and check out my video on Society of the Snow as well. And you know what? While we're at it, while these newer, like very recent videos of mine are getting a lot of support, if you guys want, I'm not, you know, I'm not forcing you to do anything. I cannot make you do anything, but it would mean a lot to me if you guys went went and showed my Halloween special from 2023 some love as well. I worked really hard on those videos, talked about a lot of movies that I loved, and it would just mean a lot to me if you guys gave it some support. But still, don't hesitate to like and subscribe this video so you get notified when new videos come out as well, and I would appreciate support on those. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching. Be sure to check out the Headspace Podcast, now available on all podcast streaming platforms where you stream your podcast, just whatever you prefer. I'm going to have those links down in the description, as well as links to social media. You can follow my personal account on Instagram at Zaybeast, or my professional account on Instagram at Headspace Productions. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching. I will see you in the next video, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.